Welcome back, aliens. My name is Navin Reddy, and finally Java 9 is here. Now you might be wondering, there are so many versions which are used now, right? In fact, there are some colleges, some universities, they are using Java 6. Companies are using Java 7. They are moving to Java 8 now, and Java 9 is already here. Is it worth learning Java 9 features, or is it something very different? And the answer is yes. It's very different from the earlier versions. In fact, in Java 9, we have one of the amazing projects which is released, which is called as Project Jigsaw. Now, Jigsaw is something very different. We'll talk about it in some time. But then Jigsaw was supposed to be, it started in 2008. So they thought, okay, let's release Jigsaw project in Java 7. But then due to some problem, they were not able to complete the entire stuff. So they thought, okay, let's do that in Java 8. So Java 7, they were not able to do that. So Java 8, the problem was because of some security issues and stability problems. So they thought, okay, let's not do that in Java 8. Let's do it in Java 9. And finally, we got Jigsaw project in Java 9, right? So the project started in 2008, and then they delayed it. They started the actual work in 2014, when your Java 8 was released. And then from last 3 years, they are working on this project. So they delayed the launch from 2015 to 2016, now 2017, and finally Java 9 is here. So what are the new features? The one we have already discussed about. One of the feature is Jigsaw project, but what exactly Jigsaw is? So to understand Jigsaw, again, we'll make a detailed video on that, what exactly Jigsaw is, what is other concepts. But then to understand Jigsaw, you have to understand the concept of modularity. So in Java 9, they have introduced something as modules. So what happens is, think about this. When you make a project, right, every project needs a jar file, which is rt.jar, right, which is runtime jar. And it has all the classes which we normally use, right? Example, if we talk about your string class, if we talk about your system class, all these classes belongs to this package, which is rt.jar. Now, rt.jar doesn't only have small classes. It has so many classes. There are approximately thousands of classes. There are approximately 4,500 classes. Just imagine you have all these classes in one jar file. Question arises, do we really use all the classes? See, every project is different, right? When I work on a project, I have a different set of requirements. When you work on a project, you have a different set of requirements, and you'll be using some other classes. Why you have to use all the classes? Why you have to download that rt.jar, right? Why don't you take part of it? Is it possible in Java 8? Not possible, right? In Java 9, they said, okay, let's divide the JDK itself. So what they did, they created the modules in JDK 9. Right, so there are approximately 94 modules, approximately 94. So if you want only this set of features, you can use only those ones. So you can specify, I need this module, I need this module, I need this module, and they also have module dependencies. So example, if you have this module which works only with this module, you mentioned that you want to use this, it will use this module automatically. Again, I know that's a different topic, but then we have a concept of modules. Then you might be thinking, okay, that's with JDK, right? If you are working on a project, what you have to do with module? Now, since JDK itself is modularized, what if when you make a project, why to make a single jar when you can make multiple modules? And that's why the programming, so modular Java programming is on the way. So if you are building a project now, you can think about this concept of modular programming. So that's one thing they have introduced, right? So Jigsaw is all about modularity. So we have talked about that rt.jar, right? Okay, now that's the one thing. That's the first feature they have introduced. The second one, which is my favorite, and I will not name that now, but then just think about this. Let's say if you want to teach Java to someone. In fact, if you talk about schools and colleges, they are teaching Python now. So initially they used to teach Java, but now they are moving towards Python for one reason, for multiple reasons. One of the reasons is it is very famous nowadays, and lots of companies that are using Python. The second reason is Python is a bit easier to teach. Example, think about this. If you want to teach someone Python, what you will do? For the first line of code you will teach is print, right? So you will teach them how to print hello world. So what you will do? You will say print. So it's very easy in Python. You can simply say print and hello world. It works, right? You will get the output. But think about this. If you want to teach the same thing in Java, what you will do? In fact, I face this issue a lot. So when I teach Java, it's very easy for me to teach the later modules. Example, what is arrays, what is collections. I can teach that very comfortably. The problem starts when I want to start with the first code, because the first code itself, if you want to print hello world, you cannot simply do that. You have to write a class, you have to get a method, and that to public static void main, and I have to explain everything, right? What I do, I say, okay, we'll discuss about this thing later. Let's only focus on the print ln, right? You have to write approximately 6 lines of code just to print hello world, right? So what's wrong with Java? So Java is good. I mean, everything is good. The only problem is it is difficult to teach Java. And let's say that's the first problem, difficult to teach. The second problem is if you want to test a small amount of code. So let's say if you're working on some algorithms and if you have a code with you of 3 to 4 lines, just to execute that, you have to write the entire class or methods. Can you test only that particular code? That's the second problem. The third problem is if you already have an API with you, and okay, somebody says, okay, hey Naveen, this is my new API, you can test it. Now you want to test that API, you have to write the entire class, right? Entire methods. Can you test this API with only 1 or 2 lines? And to solve this issue, we got something called as REPL in Java. Now REPL is very famous in other languages like in Python. So REPL stands for, it is R is read, E is eval, that REPL is P is print, and L is loop. So you can do that continuously. It's REPL, right? Now REPL is very famous. You can directly type the line and you will get the output. It also called as interactive console. What you get in Python or what you get in Scala also we have the same thing. You can get the interactive tool. It's there with multiple languages, and finally it's there with Java. So if you want to teach Java to someone now, you don't have to teach a class, you don't have to teach a method. You can directly start with system.out.print, and that feature was introduced in the form of JShell. So in Java, JDK 9 we have REPL with the help of JShell. So JShell is very awesome. You can write 1 line of code, you can test it. You can write small amount of code, you can test it. Again, we'll talk about JShell later in detail. But yes, we have JShell as a feature. The next feature we have is, so in Java 8, one of the things which I loved is Stream API. So in Java 8 we got Lambda expression, we got Stream API. So it was good, right? It was an initial release for Stream. Now in Java 9 they have enhanced it. Okay, they have added some more features, and now you can enjoy working on streams. So initially you were working on streams, and now you can enjoy working on stream with new features, right? In fact, if you have not learned Java 8, I would recommend first you learn Java 8, because Java 9 has a different way of working with it, right? So first learn Java 8, learn about Lambda expression, learn about Stream API, and then you can learn about Java 9. It will make more sense, right? Next enhancement they have, okay, so this enhancement is awesome. So initially, when you talk about interfaces, till Java 7, you cannot define method and interface. Okay, you cannot define it, you cannot declare it, right? So you can always put semicolon at the end. But in Java 8, they said, okay, now you can define methods. Again, due to some different problems. If you watch my Java 8 videos, you will get to know what I'm talking about. But then yes, you can define methods and interface in Java 8. In Java 9, they said, okay, you can also define private methods now. So instead of only public methods, now you can also have private methods, right? Just to have that, if you have a method in your interface and if you want to perform some extra operations, you can define a method there itself, which you only want that particular method to use. So no other methods can use it. So we can do that, right? So now in Java 9, we can have interfaces which can have private methods defined, right? And no one can override, of course, right? It's a private method. So that's the feature of Java 9. So there are lots of features. We have also introduction of HTTP 2 protocol, 2 features. Again, that's into beta testing now. I don't know when they will be releasing it. But then yes, we have so many features. They have some small improvements in the JDK itself. And for JVM, we have a new type. We have G1 garbage collector now. Again, we'll talk about that later. But yes, we have some enhancement in JVM level as well. So Java 9 is awesome, right, compared to the earlier versions. Every time I think Java 9, Java will be going away because of these new languages, but don't worry, Java is coming with new versions to solve all those issues. In 2013, I was thinking about moving to Scala. Now we got Java 8. So Java 8 says, okay, don't worry, whatever you will get in Scala, I will try to provide that. Now, for people who are moving to Python because it is easy to learn, Java says, okay, don't go. So now you can learn Java easily because of JShell. So in fact, I will be making videos on JShell as well, just to teach you Java. I will be teaching you Java with JShell. I'm planning to do that. Let's see how it goes. So yeah, those are the features of Java 9. In this video, we'll talk about JDK 9. Now, we all know that we have the new version of Java available, which is Java 9. And so we have seen the features as well, the new features. But then when you install JDK 9 and when you unpack it, what you get, is it something different compared to the earlier versions like Java 8 and Java 7? Let's see that. So before going for the download of JDK and before installing it, what we will do is let's see this image. Now, if you look at this image, I know this is not clear. I know this is something which is weird, but then let's try to understand this image here because we don't have a choice, right? Now, if you can see, these are all here looks like a package names, right? So if you see that, we have naming.rmi package, we have xml.soap package, but these are not packages, these are modules. Now, in Java 9, they are going for modular programming. So they are no more working on single jar file, they are working with modules. Now, all these are different modules available here. Now, okay, I know it is confusing here, but let's focus only one. So let's say if you want to work with normal code, normally in day-to-day life, we all try to print something, we create a string variable. So we use those normal classes, right? And all those classes you will find in this base module. So it doesn't matter what you do, a simple task, it will be available in base. But what if you want to write some SQL query, if you want to fire some database query? You can see in this map, there's something as SQL, if it is visible there. So we have SQL here. Now, this SQL is basically a module which will help you to make those, you can work with database. But then this SQL says, hey, I can work for you, but then to work with SQL, you also need XML module and you need a logging module. And also, okay, only this two. But to work with XML and logging module, you require a base module. So this SQL, so this XML and logging is a dependency for this SQL module, and this base is a dependency for logging and XML. So this is the hierarchy. This is dependency hierarchy what you have. Example, let's go for another one. If you want to work with Corba, so to work with Corba, what you need, if you can follow the arrow there, it needs RMI. To work with RMI needs logging, and to work with logging, you need base. We have another dependency, so Corba also needs desktop, and desktop needs XML, desktop needs character set. So this is what you say hierarchy, dependency hierarchy. So module dependency hierarchy you have. So JDK itself is based on modules. So if you build your own project, of course you can think about it. You can build project in modular way, right? And that's what is new in JDK 9. This type of thing is called as, this is a part of Project Jigsaw, right? So once we have understood this, let's go to Google and search for how can you download JDK. So you will simply search for JDK 9 download, and it will take you to the official website of Oracle. So you can just go there and you can click on download. Where's that? So you can see we have Java SE Development Kit 9. You have to accept the license. You don't have a choice, but depend upon what type of OS you're working on. So if you're working on Linux, you can download this one. You can if you're using Mac, you can go for this one. If you're using Windows, we have 64-bit. If you're using 32-bit, again you have to go somewhere else. But then this is where you have 64-bit. So if you click on it, it will download JDK 9 for you. I'm not sure if you have 32-bit for Java 9 available, but I don't know who uses 32-bit OS nowadays. So it will get downloaded. Now, we don't have to wait for such a long time. I have already downloaded Java JDK 9 with me, and after downloading it, you just have to install it. And is it a rocket science to install in software? Not, right? You can, if you're using Windows, or it doesn't matter which OS you're working on, it's very easy. You can simply click on next, and your job will be done. Other than if you're using Linux, right? We have multiple steps there. But then yes, installing JDK 9 is very easy. But what happens when you install it? So after installation, when you go to your program files, you will find something called a Java folder. Here, of course, you have a Java folder. So whenever you work on Java 7 or Java 8, you have the same folder. In my machine, I already had JDK 1.8, and then I installed JDK 9. But you can see that there's a change in name now. It's no more 1.9, it's Java 9, a separate thing, right? So they are renaming it. So now it is Java 9. And if I open JDK 9, if you can see, we have the same folders, right? We have bin, we have conf, but there's something new. Can you see that we have Java mods? And if I open this, this is where you have all the modules. Right, so the module which we have talked about, we have Corba module here, and Corba modules depend upon RMI module. If we talk about SE module, so if I go back to the image there, so if we have SE module, so SE is depend upon Compact 3 and SE depend upon XML WS. So these are the dependency module you have. right? Again, it will take some time for you to understand how exactly this project structure works or looks like, but then yes, we have all these modules available. So I would recommend you to explore more on this. Go to the read the documentation of Java 9. It will be helpful because the books are not available in specific in India. We do have books, but then not up to the mark. So you can by the time you can refer the documentation, because it will take some time to get the official book, especially the complete reference. So so that's how your JDK looks like. Now if I open, so can I run the Java code same as what we used to do in Java 8? Now most of the people, they should say, because Java 9 is different, you cannot run the same code which you used to do in Java 8. In fact, there are lots of people, they are into this fear that since we have Java 9 now, they are outdated. Not exactly. Even if you don't know Java 9, if you know Java 8, if you know Java 7, if you know all those features, you can still run the same code on Java 9. Just to prove my point, what I will do is I will open a notepad and let's write a simple code, okay, just to prove the point. So what I will do, I will say public class, and let's name this class as demo. And in this class, what I will do is I will create a method which is public static void main, as we know that this is how you write a code in Java, right? So we'll say public static, so this is string arguments. Again, if you're new to Java, don't worry, this is simple Java code which works on all different versions. We are just trying to check if this works on Java 9. So let's say system dot out dot println, and in this we'll print again, we always print hello world, right? That we do I don't know why, but every language starts with hello world. So here, let me just store that somewhere. I will store that on a desktop. So I do have a folder which is Java 9 pre-built here. So on my desktop, we have a Java 9 folder, and here let me get a file which is demo.java. I already have that file. Let me replace it. I don't know when I did that, but yeah. So we have this class. Can we compile it? Of course we can compile it, right? Let's go to my CMD. And okay, so you can see I'm here now. I will go to desktop now here. So before compiling it, so I can write Java C, right? And you can see Java C is available. If it is not available, it would have given the error which is Java C not recognized. So in that scenario, what you do is you set the path, you go to environment variables to set the path, so you have multiple choice. But we don't have to worry about that now because it is working for my machine. So before compiling it, we have to verify which version of Java I'm actually working on. So if I say Java hyphen version, and you can see it says Java C 9. So I'm using Java 9 here. You might not use, so even if you install Java 9, you will not by default get Java 9 because I've done some settings here. That's why I'm getting Java 9, because I was using Java 8 before. After installing Java 9, it will not directly take it. So what we normally do is we go to environment variables, right? And you have to change the path. So you have to go to environment variables and you have to go to the path, and here you have to set Java 9 path. You can see I have changed the path to Java 9. It was Java 8 before. So from Java 8 I have shifted to Java 9, and once you do that, you can make those changes, right? And here let's compile this. So I will go to my folder which is Java 9 folder, and here I will say Java C demo.java, and you can see it compiles. There is no issue. You can simply write a normal Java code in Java 9 as well, so nothing to worry about that. And here we can simply run this. We can say Java demo. You can see we got hello world. So yes, don't worry, your old Java code will still work on Java 9, okay? But what's new in Java 9 then? Now in Java 9, the first feature we have seen, which is modules, which is a jigsaw. The second feature which I love is JShell. Now JShell is something where you can write your code in one line and you can get the answer. This is like an interactive console. Let me explain what I'm trying to explain. Let me just try what I'm trying here. So you can see the moment I say JShell, we got a new prompt here, which is JShell prompt. Now this is actually a Java shell prompt. Again, we'll do the detailed video on this, how exactly JShell works and what are the commands you can execute. But then let's try one thing. Can I print something? So normally what we do is, if you want to print hello world also, in Java code you have to write a class, right? You have to write a class, you have to create a method, and then you can print. What if you can simply write system.out.println, and if I say double quotes hello world, will this work? If I say enter, okay, so that it works. You don't have to write all that code. You can simply say system.out.println, you can say hello world, and it works. So like next time if you want to teach someone Java, you don't have to teach them what class means, what method means. You can simply type system.out.println, your job is done. right? So it's that easy. So try it out. So once you have completed this video, just go to Google, search for JDK9, install it, and play with it. So play with JShell, and you can write whatever code you want. So we'll have one more video on that, how exactly JShell works. So there are multiple features which Java 9 provides you. We have talked about we have talked about the jigsaw. We have talked about JShell. We have some improvements in collection framework. We have some improvements in stream API. We have some improvements in JVM as well. So yeah, so all those things are new to Java 9. In this video, we'll talk about JShell. Now, as we know that we got Java 9, in which you got latest features like JShell. Now, JShell is actually a REPL for Java. Now, REPL is there for different languages like Python. So what exactly REPL is? It is read, eval, print loop, which means you can write a statement and you will get the output instantly. You can also call it as interactive console. Now, first of all, how do you open JShell? So it's very simple. First of all, you have to install JDK9, and once you have installed that, once you have set all the path, you have to open CMD. Now you can set the path in two ways. You can use your environment variables, or you can set the path from here, but that's fine. If you have done that, what you can do is you can simply type JShell. Now this is how you open JShell. So open your CMD, make sure your path is set, and type JShell. Now after typing JShell, just say enter, and you can see it will open JShell for you. Now it is so we have entered into JShell now. Okay, so the first command we will see. So remember this: whenever you want to fire any command in JShell, we have to use a slash there. Okay, you can execute Java statements, or you can execute some commands, but for commands you have to use slash. Now one of the awesome commands we can use here is help. As you can see, we got help. Now the moment you do that, you can see we got all the commands which we can use here. Okay, so there are a list of commands we can use. So that is one thing. So what your second command will see? Again, before going for any of the commands, let's first of all understand how to go out. So let's say you are into shell now and you want to go out. Now there's the easiest way. You can click on this cross button, this will work, but that's not a good way, right? So what you will do is you will simply say slash, and you will type exit. Now the moment you say exit, it says goodbye, and you are coming out. Okay, once again, JShell might not work in your system if you have two JDKs in your system. So first you have to verify which version of Java you are currently working with. So you can see I'm using Java 9. So just verify once before continuing with this. So again, so let's go back to JShell, and that's how you open JShell. Just type JShell there, and let's try to execute something here. Now, doesn't matter which programming language you start with, right? When you talk about C language or C++ or Java, you always start with hello world, right? But then normally what we do is when you write Java code, we have to get a class, we have to get a method, and then we can do something. But here we can simply type system.out.println, and here you can actually type a statement. So you will say welcome to Telusko. Now you can type anything you want, right? I'm just typing this, and the semicolon at the end is not compulsory because your JShell will do it for you. And the moment you say enter, you can see we got the output as welcome to the Telusko. So no need to define a method there, no need to write a class. And that's the best thing about JShell. Now what if you want to perform some operation? Let's say you want to add two numbers. Is it possible? It's very easy actually. So you can simply say 2 and 3. If I say enter, will it work? Okay, let's try. And you can see the moment I do that, you got the answer. Okay, so you can see when I say 2 plus 3 is 5. But what is this $2? Now $2 is basically an ID. So why do we need an ID here? Because ID will be useful for you to use it later. Example, let's say if I want to add a number 6 to the existing output we have. So the output here is 5. I want to add 6 to that output. I can use an ID here. So I can say $2. Now $2 will give me, if I say $2, you can see $2 is 5. So if I type $2 plus 6. So what will happen is it will add 5 and 6. So 5 is the output, right, for the ID 2. And you can see we got, okay, so 5 and 6, we got 11. It's that awesome, right? And we got an ID which is $4, right? So we can use $4 to do something else, right? So I can simply say system .out.println, and you can actually use $4 here to print, right? You can see we got 11. So you can use that ID anywhere you want, so you can reuse the ID later. So that's how we can perform addition. Can we do something else? Can I perform a logical operation here? Let's say if I say true or true, you can say we got true. So if you say true or false, it will work. So let's perform something. So I will say 8 is greater than 9, which is false, of course. If I say 8 is greater than 9, or I will say 6 is greater than 5, and you can see we got true. So we can perform all those operations which we normally do in Java. So when you learn Java for the first time, this is what you do, right? You perform addition, you print something, you go for the logical operators, and you do all those stuff. So we can do everything here. It's possible, and it's that easy to work with. Now, do we have some extras thing here? Can we do something else? Now, we can also declare variables, right? We can do that. So if I say int I equal to 9, and the moment I say enter, you can see it works. It says I is 9. Now, what if you want to use this I later? Can we reuse the variables? Is it possible? Let's try. So if I say system.out.println, instead of typing it, I will simply use the existing code, and I will say I. You can get the last command by typing, by pressing up button or up arrow, right? Normally we do that with any CMD or terminal. So if I enter this, you can see we got 9. So yes, we can reuse the variables as well. Now, can I define one more variable? If I say int j, and if I don't assign the value, that's fine. By default, the value will be assigned 0. Now, in Java, in JShell, we can also get the verbose output. I mean, when you perform some commands, you can get a verbose output. Now, how do we do that? So you can say slash. Again, we are performing some commands, right? If you are sending some commands, you have to use slash. I will say slash set feedback, because I want a feedback. Whenever I type a command, I want to see what is happening. So you can set feedback. The default feedback is normal. So the moment I do that, you can say the default feedback is normal, right? What I want is verbose. So what we can do is we can say set feedback, and you can say this is verbose. And now you got a feedback verbose. Now you might be thinking, what's the advantage of this? The advantage is if I say int k is equal to 9, or maybe int k equal to 1, now it says you got the value which is k equal to 1, right? But it also gives you a feedback that created a variable k of type int, right? And it makes more sense when you write this code. Now if I say k plus plus, and if I say enter, you can see we got the value which is 1, because this is post increment. And again, if I try to print the value of k, you can see k is 2 now. But here, look at this. It says created scratch variable, which is id, which is with 13 of type int. Because we are performing an operation, right? And we are changing value, but then we are performing an operation, but we are not storing it. So it is stored in $13, so that we can reuse it. Now if I say plus plus k, it will give you 3, and you got a new ID. So every time you perform an operation, it gives you a new ID. And that makes sense, right? So yes, you can perform all the operations which we do in normal Java. Now, can I have multi-line comments? Normally, multi-line statements. Example, when you perform one line of code, you don't need to put semicolon there, because JShell will do it for you. But what if you want to define a method? What if you want to define a class? Is it possible? Let's try that. So if I say public void show, I'm defining a method now. So I'm defining a method like show, and you have to open the curly brackets. Yeah, the moment you say enter. Now, can I say enter? Because normally whatever we have done till now, it has one line of code, right? But this time I want to perform multiple lines of code. Do we need to do something extra to do that? Actually, no, we don't have to. We simply have to say enter, and you can see this is a new type of line we got. It says dot arrow, and it is waiting for you to enter something else. What I will say here is I will say int val or int num is equal to 9, or maybe 8. Why always 9? I will give a semicolon here, and I will say enter. Now it is still waiting for me, so I will say system.out.println, and I will say hello world. And I also, okay, so and then at the end I will say semicolon enter, and we'll say curly brackets close, and done. We have defined the method which called as show. And it's that easy. We can define the methods as well. Now, can I call this method? That's important, right? So let's type show and say enter, and you can see it works. We got hello world. Perfect, right? Okay, now I want to make some changes in this. Is it possible to make the changes? Now, first of all, before making the changes, let me just show you one more command. And the command here is list. Now, if I say list, you can see we got all the statements which are performed till now, right? You can see the first statement was this one, so that's why the ID is 1. For this the ID is 2, then the ID is 3. So we have performed all this operation till this point, and we got 16 here. What I want to do is I want to edit this thing. I want to I want to print hello world with a value here. Now can I do that? Let's try. So to edit, we have to type a command called as edit, right? So we have to say /edit, and you have to mention the ID. The ID in this case is 16, so I will say $16. And if I say enter, oh, there's no code snippet for 16. Is it 16? Yeah. So you don't have to mention dollar symbol. You have to mention the ID. That's it. Now the moment I do that, you can see we got a edit pad. This is a Java Swing panel. If you have ever worked on Swing, this is how it looks like, right? Now if you have worked it on a way back, you know how this looks like. Okay, so what I will do is here I will make some changes. So how do we change here? So I will say hello world, and I will say plus num. So I want to print num as well. Now just simply say accept because you have made the changes, and say exit. Okay, now it says it has updated the method. Let's try to execute that once again. Let's call show, and can you see that we got hello world 8, and it's that awesome, right? I just love this type of things. Okay, now what else we can do? Can we just do that once again? Let's do the edit once again. Now imagine this is a method, and you already have an instance variable. And the instance variable, okay, now since we are editing 16, so it is going back to previous version, I want to print a variable called as age. Now of course we don't have a variable called as age till now, right? We have not done that yet. It will, what do you think, will it work? Now that's a good question, right? So before continuing, I will give you 2 seconds to think about it. Will this work? Because I'm using a variable which is not yet declared, because I'm imagining that this must be a instance variable, right? It is defined somewhere else. So I will say accept, there's no error. I will say exit, there's no error. Let's call show now, and the moment you do that, oh, it's not working. It says accepted to call method show, which cannot be invoked until variable age is declared. And that's the beauty. It is not giving you any error pre-hand, but it says, hey, if you want to use, so here itself you can see that it says, however, so the method is modified, however it cannot be invoked until variable age is declared. That means if I declare the age, if I declare a variable called as age now, and if I assign the age, maybe let's say 28, and if I say enter, now you can see we got the age variable, and now it is also updated in this show. Now can I call show? Yes, you can call show, right? The value is 28. So this is something called as future reference, or forward reference, not future reference, forward reference. So even if you don't have something which a method needs, a method will be created so that you can do the next thing later, right? So that's the beauty about JShell, right? We can do that with methods as well. Again, let me go back to, I will say edit this time. I will say, no, I will say, first of all, I will say list. I want to know where I have done the edit. So it is not, this time it is 20 now, as you can see. So I will say /edit 20, and I want to make some changes. So from here, I want to call a different method, and that method name is display. Again, we don't have this method yet. So still I will say display. I want to call a method called a display, right? And I will say accept, I will say exit. Now you can see again the same thing happening here with the way we have done with age variable. We have not created the display method yet. So if I try to call show without defining the display method, it will not work. So this is a forward reference so that you can create a method later. So I can say public void display, and here you can say whatever you want to do. It will say system dot out dot println, and I will print something. I will print something with the spelling mistake, of course. That doesn't matter, right? I will say enter, and here we go. Okay, something is missing. The semicolon is missing there. Okay, so what I will do is I will say again, I will say list. I mean, can we change that? Is it possible? And no, it is not getting recorded. So we have to do that once again. Okay, so let's say public bracket. So we have to put the semicolon here because it doesn't work that way. So we have to give curly brackets, and it worked. Now if you call show, Okay, so that it worked. So it says hello world 20 and something with that wrong spelling. That's fine. We're not here to correct the spelling, right? But it's working, right? So that's how you can use the list command. So remember that we have talked about, we have different commands we can use here. Let me just use that command here. So the first one we have used is list. Okay, the space is not, so space is not needed there. In fact, if you give space, it will give you error. You can use edit and you can mention the ID which thing you want to edit. So that's it from this video. So welcome to the part 2 of JShell. Now in the part 1, we have talked about a list command, we have talked about edit and set feedback. In fact, we have also seen different way you can create a variable, you can create a method, and you can call the methods. Now in this video, we'll try to explore more on those, in terms of commands and in terms of statements. So what we'll do now is, let's create something called a string. Now let's say if I want to define a string variable, now what normally we do is we say str and then we complete the statement, right? But what if you want a shortcut? Now if you remember, if you use any IDE like Eclipse or IntelliJ or NetBeans, we get auto completion, right? Is it possible to get that here? Now it is possible. So if you type str and if you say tab, you can say it gives you the suggestions what you can go for. Okay, you can go for string, you can go for string builder, you can go for string reader, you can go for string writer. So there are lots of classes available for this. I want a string here, so I will say string and I will say s. Now this is not exactly a code completion, this is a suggestion you can say. So if I say string s equal to, and if you assign a value, let's say Naveen, and if I say enter, you can see we got a variable Naveen and we got a string as well. So you can see we got created variable s equal to string, right? So what you get is these suggestions. But what if you want a documentation? Something like this. If I say string and if I say tab, you can see we got other options with string. But if I say again a tab here, you can see we got the entire documentation for string. So if you want to know about a class, what you can do is just type the name of a class or whatever, a keyword or something, you will get the documentation for that. Now string belongs to lang package, right? So you can see we have the entire definition available here, right? So remember this, if you say single tab, it will give you suggestions. If you give double tab, it will give you documentation. And this is awesome, right? So if you're learning Java for the first time, it will be very helpful when you do something like this. Okay, that makes sense. So we can use string. In fact, we can print the variable as well. So in fact, if I say, you can see we got the variable, we got s and it has a value which is Naveen. Okay, now question arises, can we redefine the variable? Example, if I already declare the variable, if I say string s now with a different value, so I'm not just changing the value, I'm creating a new variable. Can we do that? Let's say if I use a variable name here as Anna. So what do you think? Will it work? And the answer is, if you see that, you can see it says modified variable s string. So you can see it is modifying the variable, right? Let's do the same thing with int variable. Is it possible? So let's say int I equal to 9, and if I say int I equal to 3, and you can see it is modified. So it will not give you any error that you have already used this variable, right? So and we have created so many variables, right? What if you want to see all the variables which we have used till now? So don't worry, we have a command for that as well. So we got var. Is it vars? Yeah, so it is vars. You can simply use a tab there to complete it. And if I say enter, you can see we got the entire list here. So these are the variables which we have created till now. So you can see we got age, we got s, we got this j here. So we have created all these variables for our use, right? In fact, can we see methods? And you're right, we can also use methods as a thing. In fact, you can simply type meth and you can say tab, it will autocomplete for you. And if I say enter, you can see we got two methods, we got show and display. This is what we have created till now. Oh, so we can create variables, we can create methods. We have not created the class yet. Is it possible to create your own class? I will give you 2 seconds to think about it. So think about it, can we create a class? And the answer is yes. Let's try this. So if I say class, and I will name this class as a runner. So we have a class runner here, or maybe if I have a class alien, because you all are aliens, right? So if I create a class called as alien, if I open the brackets, and you can see it works, it is giving you an option to do something. So I will say public void alien work, we work, I don't know. So if I say enter and if I define something here, system.out.println, and if I say what working, I mean you can type anything you want, and I lost the statement of what. No, okay, I lost the statement. So okay, so instead of typing int I equal to 1, I will say int I equal to 9. Doesn't matter, we just want to define some class, right? And we are doing that here, and you can see we got our class. We got a class called as alien. Okay, now that's possible, we can create a class as well. Now can I call this class, I mean can I create an object of this class? Let's try. So if I say alien a equal to new alien, and it does work. Can you see that? It does work. So we got alien a equal to new alien, so it works. So you can create a class, you can create an object, and you can practice Java like this, right? I don't know about the different uses for JShell, but then as a trainer it will be very helpful for me. So when I go for the training next time, I will surely use JShell for my training. I mean I will try to do that. I need to still explore how efficiently I can teach Java in JShell, because we need some other experience as well, right? Some way, some flow. Let's see how it works. So yeah, so we can create a class, we can create an object of that. What if I try to create an object of a class which doesn't even exist? Example, let's say if I create a object of a class which is maybe human. So let's say I don't have a class human available, but still if I do that, if I say human obj equal to new human, and if I try to do that, if I say enter, oh, it is giving you an error, you cannot do that. Okay, can I define a reference? Because of course, right, we don't have the object yet, we don't have a class yet. But if I say human obj, oh, you can create a variable, but you cannot create the object because we require a constructor, right? But you can see we can create a variable. The only thing it says is you can create a variable, but however it cannot be referenced until class human is declared. So same thing, right? It is future forward reference. So you can create a reference, but then you need a class to make it work. So yes, you can create a class now, and it will work for sure. So you can use this obj object or obj reference. That sounds good. Okay, now we also have one more command called as history. Let's see what happens when you type history here. And if I say enter, it gives you all the things which you have typed till now. You can see we got all the commands, all the statements. So it will give you the entire history, and that is awesome. Okay, now there's one more thing. Is it compulsory to write the entire stuff? Can I simply say /h? No, because /h is ambiguous. It says either history or help. So what we can do is we can say hi. So we don't have to actually complete. We can actually type hi. Yeah, it will detect that it is history, right? The same thing is possible with list. So if you simply type /l, it will give you list. The same thing is happening with exit. So if I simply say x, oh no, x not x, e. No, even e is ambiguous. I will say ex, exit. So yeah, so if you want to use shortcuts, you can do that, right? And most of the time you have to type something and you will learn on the way, right? The way I did now. I thought it will be x, but then it is ex, but that's fine. So yeah, so you can use shell like this. You can type all the commands which you want. Okay, now what else we can do? Let me think. Now can I create an object of scanner class? Because see, when you use scanner class in normal Java, we need to import the package, right? Because see, if we talk about system class, string class, those belongs to lang package, and we all know that lang package is something which by default gets imported. What about util package? Because scanner class belongs to util. Let's try that. So if I say scanner sc, okay, I will not. Okay, I will say new scanner, and if I say scanner, okay, system dot n, that's how you create an object of scanner, right? And if I say enter, oh, it worked. Can you see that there's no error? It says java.util.scanner. That means the util package is by default imported, and that's awesome, right? So you can work with any class. By default, all the classes are imported. Okay, so let me try one more. What if you go for java.sql package? Because if you talk about the statement class, so what we'll do is we'll say statement, or maybe some other thing, maybe in RMI remote. So if I say remote R, because remote is a package, right? So we'll say, but then okay, let's go for statement. Let's go for SQL package. So we'll say statement S, and if I say enter, oh, it says statement opt. So it is creating a new variable, and it is asking me to create a class called statement. But no, statement is it's an interface which is pre-built in my in java.sql, right? It's not working. That means all the packages are not default imported. You have to import some package by yourself. But how would you know what are the packages which are already imported? So what we'll do is we'll say imports. Now this will show what are the packages which are by default imported. You can see we got IO package imported, math is imported, net, neo package, util package. So all these packages are imported, right? By default, you don't have to import them. But if you want to work with SQL, then of course you have to say import and java.sql.start. Now you are importing the Java package. Okay, so now if I say statement, so you can see that it is saying that updated replace variable s now. So if I say s, you can see it is null, but it works. Now they know that s belongs to statement, right? So that's how you can work with, that's how you can import the packages. You can know the already imports, right? So if I just want to list down the commands here, so we have import, we have set, so we have list to list all the things we have done. We also have history, right? History will actually give you the history. Okay, but list will give you the IDs for that. Edit will help you to edit something with the ID, of course. We have import. We have history. What else we have? Okay, what else we have? See, we have help, right? So you can explore all these commands by yourself and try it out. So this is available for you. So try it out. And what else? Welcome to the next part of JShell. Now in this video, we'll talk about different commands. So we have already seen all these commands listed here. Let's try to explore some more commands and some more operations. Now before opening this JShell again, what I did is I changed my folder. Now currently I'm in Java 9 folder. Again, we'll talk about that, why I have shifted to a different folder. So it's a simple folder which is called as Java 9. It's there on desktop, so it is on my machine. So what exactly I have in this folder is I have these three files. We have alien.java, we have demo, and we have seen this demo before in the first video, right? Now let's go back here and let's say CLS and let's go back to JShell. So I will say JShell. Okay, we are into JShell now. So let's try to do something else now. So what I will do is, the first thing I want to do is I want to create some variables, because if I say was, now using this was command, you can see all the available variables in your JShell. Now we have not created any variable yet, right? So what we'll do is we'll say int I equal to 9. So that's my first variable. We'll say int num is equal to 3, and we'll say double d is equal to 9.2. And you can see we got 3 values. We can also create some other variables of some classes. We will see that later. So if I say was now, and you can see we got these 3 variables. Now can I create a variable of a class and will it be listed here? Let's try. Or if I perform some operation like 4 plus 9. So the moment you perform an operation, you can see we have a temporary variable here which is $4. Right? So what we can do is, if I say was again by using up arrow, you can see this is also a variable which is $4 here, right? So yeah, so this makes sense. Now if I create a different variable, now normally we have seen scanner, so we can create a scanner variable here, or I mean scanner reference variable, but this time I want to go for JFrame. Now why JFrame is because not JFrame. Now JFrame belongs to a different package, right? So before we have worked on scanner, we have worked with string class. Now all these classes are by default imported thanks to our default imports. You can see we have all these imports here. But what if you want to use a class which is not inside this? So what we normally do is we import the class by ourselves by saying import and import and the package name or the class name. What we'll be doing here is, let's use JFrame and let's see how can we, so do we have any shortcut to do that? Because I don't want to import the package by myself, right? We are using JShell, a powerful tool. So JShell will do it for you. Let's try. So there's a shortcut for Windows. If you're using Windows machine, again, I'm not sure about different OS shortcuts, but specifically in Windows, what we can do is you can say Shift Tab. So just press Shift Tab and release the buttons and then say I. So let me repeat. Type Shift and Tab and press shift and tab and then release the buttons and then press I. Now it will give you two choice. It will say do nothing or import. Of course I want to import, so I will say 1. That's a choice, and you can say it says imported java x swing.jframe, and now you can create object of jframe. So I will say jframe f equal to new jframe, and you got an object of jframe now, and you can say it works. You got object. Now if I say was, once again if I say was, you can see we got jframe reference as well, of course with the value, the default value, what it is, doesn't matter. So yeah, so we got different variables. So the point to remember, you can use shortcuts to fix the imports. But how do you know what are the shortcuts available? It's very simple. If you simply say help, and if you type shortcuts, you can see it will give you those 3 shortcuts. It will say tabs for getting the for completion of your code. Maybe it will give you some suggestions. If you say shift and tab and V, it will help you in completing the expression. Again, I will show you in some time. And we have shift tab I for fixing the imports. So you can see we have steps here. I guess if you are using different OS, and if you say help shortcuts, it will give you that particular shortcut. So this is for Windows. So if you're using Mac, just try this and it will show you the shortcuts. Okay, now what is this V? So we know about I now. We can import stuff. What is V here? Now let's say if I'm using if I'm saying 9. Now I want to store this 9 in a variable, or maybe 9 plus 2. I want to store this operation in a variable. What we can simply do is we can say shift tab and V. Now you can see that the moment you do that, it will give you it will create a variable for you. It is saying int, because 9 plus 2 will give you int, where it is asking you for it is asking you for a name, right? Of course it will not give you a name by default, so you will say k. Any variable doesn't matter. You can say we got k as 11. So if you want to create a variable, and if you want to declare a variable, you can simply type shift tab and release the buttons and press V. It will be also applicable for JFrame. So if I'm using a JFrame here, and what's that? Okay, let me just do that once again. If I say new JFrame, and if I say Control Shift V, you can see it has created the it is declaring a variable now. It is asking for the name. I will say my frame, and you can see we got the variable. So that's how you can use those shortcuts. Okay, so we have talked about we have talked about how to use that shortcuts. Now what else? So now we know we have a command called as was, which will give you all the variables. What about if I create a method? So let's say if I want to create a method called as public void show. I'm creating a new method now, right? And this method will print. It will simply have a variable int I equal to 9. That's it. And then if I close this, you can see we got the method created here. Okay, so if I create 10 methods, how would I know how many methods I've created? So it's very easy. So we can simply type methods, and you can see it will list all the methods which are there. So we can use /methods for getting the method names. In fact, you can also use /m. Will it work? Yeah. So it is shortcut. So instead of typing methods, you can type m. It will give you all the methods. Now what else? What about the classes? If I get a class here, let's say class person, or maybe class human. I love humans. So if I say class human, and if I do nothing there, if I simply close this, you can see we got the human class. And if I also get an interface here, we can also do that. We can say interface move, or maybe interface movable. And if I declare nothing there, I'm keeping it blank just to show you the effect. So if I want to know how many classes or interfaces I have, you can simply type types. So types will give you all the list of types. We have human type, we have movable interface, right? So if you want to know about classes interface, we can say types. So this will give you all the things. So we got vars for variables, we got methods for methods, we got types for classes and interfaces. Okay, this makes sense. Now what else we can do here? Now let's say if you want to open a predefined file, and that's why I have just shifted to a different folder, right? If I want to show you the folder, in Java 9 folder, I already have a class called as alien. If I open this class alien, you can see we got a class alien which has a string variable tech. It doesn't matter what variables we have there. Important is we got an alien class. I want to create a same class in my shell. So we can do that, right? We can type class alien, we can define it. But what if you want to open up existing file? It's very simple. You can simply use a command called as open. So using open, first of all, let me just go back there. Yeah. So using open, we can, what's that? Let me use this as a notepad, and yeah. So using open, we can specify which file you want to open. So I will open alien.java. Now the moment to do that, when you mention that you are working with alien, now you can create object of alien. So you can say new alien, and you can say it works. You are getting an object of alien, right? It works. And even if you say types now, you can see we also got alien. So we are not creating alien class here. It's just that we are opening it, so that class becomes a part of your JShell code, right? It's that simple. So you can actually open the existing file. What else we can do? Now once so we have done so many things, right? And let's say after doing all these things, and now you want to you want to shut down your machine and you want to work tomorrow. Now what will happen is when you shut down your machine, when you start your machine again, you will not have the same code, right? We have created so many variables, we have created so many types and so many methods. How will you get all these things? So you want to work on the same thing tomorrow, what you will do? So before exiting, what you can do is you can save all this command in a file. I will say my code .txt. You can use txt, you can use any extension you want. Logically, if you mention JSH, it will make more sense. That means the file is a JShell file, right? Again, txt will also works, that's fine. And if I do that, you can see it is storing a file, but where? If I open my folder, you can see we got my code.jsh. If I open this with notepad++, you can see we have all the commands here. So whatever commands we have executed, everything is available here, right? So now next time, so let's say after some time, if you're opening a new shell, so let me just do that. If I open a new shell, okay, where? So I will go to desktop, and I will go to Java 9. Okay, so if I come back here and if I open JShell, and if I try to use alien, or if I type types, you can see we don't have any type here because this is a new shell. So what you can do is you can load the existing shell, existing commands. You can say my codes, or you can send it to your friends as well. You can type, you can execute all the commands. You can send that file to your friends, and they will open it. And once you open the file, now what you can do is when you say types, you can see we got all the types. So yes, it is also possible. You can use this thing. Both the cells are same now because they all have the same history, right? So yeah, so that's how you can work with this. Do we have some other thing? Okay, so we have talked about open and save. Let me just write it down on a notepad. Not here. Where's my notepad? It's here. Yeah. So we have save and we have open. So you can save a file, you can open a file. That's awesome. Do we have something extra? So what we can also do is, let's say if I have a statement. So let me just go back here. Okay. And I want to perform an operation. Let's say if I want to type 8 plus 2. So if I type 8 plus 2, of course you will get 10, right? On a variable 14. Now what if I want to execute the same command again? It's very easy, right? We can simply press up arrow and you can enter, you will get the same operation. Otherwise, what you can do is you can give a slash and you can mention 14. And if I say enter, you can see we got the same value, 10. So what we are doing is we are saying slash. So whenever you say slash, that means you are talking to JShell, right? You're not writing a Java code, you are talking to JShell. So, or you're commanding to JShell, then that's what it's called as commands. So when you say 14 here, it means when I say list, you can see in the list, we have 14, which is 8 plus 2. So it will execute the same statement. So we can do that. So example, if I say 7 plus 2 now, so we got 16. When I say slash 16, it will execute the same thing. Or what you can do is you can give a slash and you can give exclamation mark. Even exclamation will do the same thing. It will execute the last statement. So 7 plus 2, you can execute that. So if you want to execute a particular statement, you can go with the number. If you want to execute the last statement, you can go with exclamation. So we also have exclamation. So slash exclamation. That's awesome. Okay, one more. Now, if I say var, okay, so you can see we have so many variables here. I don't want this 15 variable. I don't want 15. So what you can also do is you can mention slash drop and you can mention 15. Okay, you can see you can drop the variables. And now if I say var, you will not find 15 there. You can also remove this num. Let's try that. I will say drop num, and you can see num is gone now. So if I say was, you can see we don't have num there. So we also have a drop command which will drop the variables. You can not just drop variables, you can drop the classes, you can drop the methods, so you can play with it. So yeah, that's about JShell. I tried to cover most of the things in JShell. Once I come across new things, I will surely make a video on that. And in this video, we'll talk about Java 9. But you might be wondering, we have already started with Java 9, right? We have talked about JShell. Now, Java 9 has so many features. We got JShell, we also got modularity. Now, in this series, we'll talk about modules. Now, you might be thinking, do we really need modules? Because we were happy with Java files, right? We were happy with objects because Java is object-oriented. Why do we need another topic now? The reason is, Java is getting updated every now and then, right? We got so many updates. And because of all these updates, they also say it is backward compatible, which means every new feature will not make sure that you are removing the old features. And that's why the main jar file which we use in every project, there is a jar file which we all use is rt.jar, which is runtime.jar. And it has so many classes, so many packages in one jar file. Every time you get a new Java version, you just update the jar file. So from 1 MB now you get 2 MB, 5 MB, 10 MB. Maybe in future you'll be having 1 GB of rt.jar. Just imagine, just in your project, you have a project of 5 KB. In that you have rt.jar of 100 MB or maybe 1 terabyte. That's not a good way, right? Okay, that's exaggeration, but then that's the problem we are facing nowadays. So in fact, that's why if you really want to work on a project now, you have to think about modularity. Now, do we really need to do that? What if I say, if you're using Java 9, your JDK itself is created using modules now. So your rt.jar, so example, if you are making a new project in Java 9, you don't have to download the entire rt.jar, right? Because in that jar file, you have all the packages which we use. We have object class in lang package. You have all those file classes in IO package, right? All those classes are available in rt.jar. So even if in that also, we also have RMI, we also have code bar, we have so many packages which we don't even use. I mean, when was the last time you worked on RMI? It's been a long time, right? So if we don't want those classes, why do we even have to include that in our project? So now your rt.jar file is broken down into small modules. So whatever module you want to work with, you can select those modules. Example, let's say if you want to work with basic calculations, if you want to use string class, you can use one of the modules which is there called as java.base. So java.base have all the basic features you want. But maybe you want to work with XML. So for XML, we have a special module. But then XML module is dependent on base module. You don't have to worry about base module because when you are using XML, in XML module, they have defined that we want to use base module. You don't have to worry about that. What if you want to use SQL features? Now, to work with SQL, you need XML and XML need base. So this is the module graph you have or the object graph. So one module is dependent upon some other module. So you don't have to worry about the dependencies. You have to simply mention, hey, I want SQL. SQL will get the XML one, XML will get the base one. You don't have to worry about that. So whatever module you mention, you will get the same module. You don't have to worry about which one you want. Right? In fact, jar is also a concept where we have one more concept called jar hell. Now, jar hell is not a good thing to work with. I mean, jar files are very difficult to understand. Second, we have class path issues. You know, from the start of my Java career, I used to hate class path things. Because if you miss one jar file, imagine you're working with Hibernate project or maybe any Spring project. So when we use Spring jar file, you also have transitive dependencies, which is Spring itself needs some other jar files. What if you miss one jar file? So let's say Spring needs 5 jar files and you miss one jar file. You will not get issue at compile time, you will get issues on runtime. Now imagine you have compiled all the project, you have deployed your project on the server, and you failed to test all the features. And the untested features maybe have a bug. Now it will give you runtime error. And trust me, runtime errors are horrible. So it's better to get error at compile time. And using modularity, you will get that. But how exactly we can do that? So first of all, we'll discuss about why modules. We'll discuss about how to create a module and how we can use it in the future. And in this video, we'll talk about why do we need modularity and why do we need modules. Now, in fact, everyone knows in Java 9 we got a concept of modules, and with packages and jars, we will also be using modules to make our software development experience much better. But why do we need it, and what advantage will we be getting using modules? So to explain that, I will be using an IDE here which is IntelliJ. Again, you can use any IDE which you prefer. You can use NetBeans, you can use Eclipse. But when you got a plugin for Java 9, the problem with NetBeans now is it is working with Java 9, but then it's not working on my machine. So I guess it is not working on some of the configuration. And with Eclipse, you have to install a plugin, and again, I'm not able to find that. But IntelliJ is working perfectly with Java 9. So if I open IntelliJ platform here, so as of now, IntelliJ is one of the best platform for Java. But then you can also use Java 9 on NetBeans or Eclipse once they roll out the version. Now I'm opening IntelliJ. You can use any IDE after some time. So as of now, we don't have a good support on NetBeans and Eclipse. Okay, so I will create a new project here. I will say new and I will say a project. Now this will be a Java project, and I have installed Java 9 on my machine, so you have to make sure that you are using the 9 SDK, which is JDK. And I will click on next. I don't want any Kotlin or Groovy support here, so I will click on next, and anything else here? Nothing, just next. I will name this project as my module demo or mod demo. So I'm creating multiple mods in this project. Okay, in fact, I will not be using modules. I'll be using a feature, which is I will be doing a code using normal Java, which we used to do in Java 8 and Java 7. And let's try to understand what is the issue with that, and then we'll move towards modularity. So in this video, we'll only focus on why do we need modules. Okay, so let's say if I have a scenario. So let me create a class here, Java class. I will name this class as runner, and I love this class names runner. And in this runner, I want my main functions. I will say psvm tab. You will get your main function there. Now in this main, I want to add two numbers. I'm going for the simplest example possible here. So let's say I want to add two numbers. Maybe I want to add two float numbers, to integers, doesn't matter. I just want to add two numbers. You can go with as complex example as you can think of, but let's to make it simple, since we all know how that works. So I can take two variables here. We'll say int I. We can assign the value, and we can do the calculation here. But normally what we do is we do the calculation in some separate class, in some separate packages. So first of all, I will move this class into a separate package. I will name this package name as package com.telusko, and I will try to put this into a package fold. Okay, so we have to move it. So when you go to the package, it should give the error symbol and say move to package. Okay, you can see we got a package com.telusko where you have your runner, and I want to have a class in a separate package now. So I will say a new class, and I want to have this class name as calculator. And we'll say okay, but again it will be going to the same package. I will just change this package name as util, because I want to have all my all my extra things in util package. Okay, in this util package, I want to add two numbers. First of all, you're getting an error because it is not there in the util package. So what I will do is I will click here, I will go to this error and say move to package. You can see in util we got calculator now. Now in this calculator, I want to have a method which is public int add, which will add two numbers, of course. And you can pass int I, you can pass int j, and you can add your numbers here. So you can say return I plus j. We can do this, right? Okay, now let's say we have this scenario where you are doing this add I plus j, but then maybe you want to add these two values, but then if the value of int okay, let's use this thing first. What I will do is I will try to use this calculator here. So what I will do is I will say okay, first of all, if you get object of calculator, you can say calculator c equal to new calculator, and I can say c dot add. I can pass two values 4,5. Okay, now the suggestion you're getting I colon 4 and j colon 5, you will get that only in IntelliJ as of now. That's not a Java feature, that's IntelliJ feature. Okay, I will put that in a variable called as result, and I will set int result equal to c dot add 4,5, and then I'll be getting my result in let me just print my result. I will say s out, and I will print my result as result. You can see we are trying to print it. Now, will this work? Of course. Why not? It will not. Why it will not work? So it will work for sure. When you run this code, you can see in the output window we got 9. So when you add 4, 5, we got 9. It's working. You'll be thinking, what's difficult in this, and why do we even need modules, because we are not doing any of the stuff here. Now what I will do is I will just do some modification. Again, the same code will work on Java 8 and Java 7, Java 6 as well. Okay. Now what's different? So let me just make some modification here. Let's say or maybe some set change in the requirement. Let's say if the value of this integer values go beyond a certain value, let's say, or maybe I can pass 4.6 and 5.7. I may pass float values. So normally what we do is, if you pass float value, we need to have one more function here, which is public int and add float values. But then this float value will only add, or maybe double value. So it will say add double value. It will be int I, not int I. It will be double I and double j, and we will return. But then I don't want to return the float value. I want to return the int value. Or I don't want to return the double value. I want to return int value. Now we can do that here. We can do that, and we can add those numbers. So we can say int format of I plus int format of j, right? We can do this, and this will work. So even if you pass double value now, this should work, but it's not working here. What's wrong? Oh, so it should be, the method name should be add double. In fact, we don't even have to change the method name. We can have the same method name, as we know we have a concept of overloading. Okay, so this should work. So even if I pass different values, this should work, right? So if I right click and if I say, in fact, I will change this value to, let's say, 9.6 just to get a different output. And I will run this code. You can see we got what? We got 14. We are getting the answer. Now, what I will do is, don't you think we are doing the same stuff here? What I want is, I want to have a separate class which will add these two numbers. So I will say a class name is adder helper or add helper. I will say add helper. And in this class add helper, I just want to have a method which is public int add, which will add two values. It will take only int value, int I and j, and it should return I plus j. Again, for this simple addition, we don't have to get a separate class. But imagine you have a complex problem where you, a runner, want a solution. You are doing that with a calculator, but calculator itself needs a separate class called as helper. And I want to have this helper in a separate class. Maybe I will say this is internal package, because I don't want anyone else to use this. This class will be used only by calculator. I don't want anyone else to use it. So here, instead of doing this I plus j, I will simply use an object of add helper. We'll say helper or helper equal to new add helper. Now with this object, I can simply say helper dot add, and I can take two values. We can pass I comma j. So you don't have to perform this operation two times. You can simply pass the values here, right? Now, okay, again, let me repeat. This doesn't make sense for the simple example like this. But if you have been into Java world from a long time, you know how complex a code you can write. So for complex code, we always create different layers, right? So let's say we are passing I and j in the int format. So when you pass it, you are passing it as an int format, and the helper will add the values for you. So what we are doing, from runner, you are using calculator, and calculator itself is using helper to add those two values. And this will work for sure. Again, we are not doing anything fancy here. So this should work. You can see we'll be getting the output as 14. That's right. Now everything is working perfectly, right? We got different packages. So this class here, which is internal, now don't you think this class internal should be used only by calculator? And that's our agenda here, right? Add helper is an internal part of the software. So anyone else, so let's say if you export this project as a jar file, or someone else will include this particular jar file, they can use all the packages. You cannot control that, right? I mean, can you control? So let's say if you export this project as a jar file, and someone try to access runner, they can do it because you are exporting the jar file. Can they use calculator? Yes, they can use. Can they use add helper? Yes, they can. But we don't want them to use internal classes. I don't want anyone to use my add helper. Even if you write in the documentation, if you mention, hey, let's say, if you get a documentation here, that's how you do it. You say double star, and you say, uh, don't use this class, only for internal use. Even if you do that, some people will understand, okay, this is a class which is used for only internal purpose of the jar file or the project. So if you are using this jar file in your project, so in your project you don't have to use this class. But can you stop them? Of course you can suggest them, but can you stop them? Of course not, right? You cannot do that. So even if you don't want to allow them to use add helper, you don't have a control. And that's where module will help. So if you create modules in this, you can separate your packages with the help of modules. Instead of creating multiple packages, because in packages you don't have a control, but in module you have a control. You can control what is visible to the outside world and what is not visible to outside world. So if you can modify this code with the help of modules, you can actually control. The other people can use calculator, but they cannot use add helper. That's one of the things we can do. The next thing is, let's say if you use some external jar files, and if you miss one of the jar file, you will get error at runtime. But the advantage with modules, if you use modules in jar files, and if you say one modules need another module, you don't have to, you will not get error at runtime, you will get error at compile time. So at the compile time itself, hey, something is not right, which is much better than runtime error, right? So in the next code, we'll try to understand how can we solve this problem with the help of modules. So we'll write a module and we'll decide what is visible to the outside world and what is not visible to outside world. Example, when I say outside world, imagine this runner is from outside world, right? This is not in the same package. So even if it is not in the same package, I can actually create object of add helper. And so that it is importing the package which we don't want anyone to use. I want this internal package should be internal only to util. In fact, just to make it more interesting, I will move this package inside util just to define that internal belongs to util, and they will work, right? But then will this work in the helper? So if I say control space, you can see I'm still able to use add helper. There's no one to stop me there, right? And that's where I want to have a control in modular using modules. So how to do that? That we'll see in the next video. And in this video, we'll see how to create a module. In fact, to understand the concept of modularity, you have to understand the problem behind that. And that's why in the last video we have created these three classes, which is calculator, add helper, and runner. In runner, we need an object of calculator because we want to calculate something. And calculator itself is depend upon add helper. Now, when you make big project, we normally do that. But then for runner, the most important part is calculator, and to do its task, calculator needs help of add helper. Now, calculator and add helper, they are in some same. Imagine they are in some one jar file, and runner is in our project. So when you add a jar file, you can use all the classes. You can use calculator, you can use add helper, but we don't want to do that because, as you can see, the class add helper belongs to internal package. Name suggests that it should be used only for internal use, but anyone can use it. Can you see that in runner as well? I can use calculator. We don't want to do. We can in runner as well. We can use add helper. We don't want to do that. I want that other people should not be able to use add helper. But how can you control it? And that's why we have a concept of module, right? So let's see how to create a module. It's very simple. If you have a Java JDK install, which is JDK 9 install, you simply click on your project and say new. There's a concept of module. Just mention a name of the module, because when you create a module, name is very important. I will name this module as Telusko.main. That's my main module. So this is one of the modules we are working with. I will click on finish. The moment I do that, can you see that we have our project in which we have SRC. That's very normal. In SRC we have packages. But if you focus, you can see in something black and bold, we have Telusko main. In which you already have SRC. That means in one project you can have multiple modules, and every module will have their own source code. Now in this module, I just want to create a runner class. So whatever class you are having here, let me put that in runner in SRC. I will right click on my project. I will say I want a new class called as runner, and in this runner I want the same output. or maybe I just want to print hello world as of now, and I will say PSVM, it should print hello. That's it. This is what I'm expecting now. You can see we have a different module in which I'm writing Java code. Will it work? Nothing different, right? This is normal Java, right? It should work. The only thing is I want to move this into a package. Now you can have your package name same as your module name, doesn't matter. It can be same or it can be different, your choice. And I will just move this class to that particular package. And I've done that. You can see in SRC we have the Telusko main in which I have runner. So everything is perfect, right? And if I run this code, it should work. So if I run this code, it should print hello. Nothing wrong in that. You can see we got the output. But then every module, so yeah, whenever you work with a module, you need two things. One, a module name, which we got here, plus we also need a module configuration, or how can you configure your module? Because see, module provides you lots of features, right? You can control who can use this module. You can also mention this module depend upon some other modules, as we have discussed in the theory video. So one module can depend on some other module. Or in one module, if you have 5 packages, you may want to control the number of packages you want to make it visible to the outside world. How to configure that? The way you can do that is by right-clicking, okay, not here, but on SRC, just SRC, right-click here, and there's an option of module-info.java. Now you might be wondering, can we really name a class name as, the file name as module-info? We can do that in terms of module. And we got our module. Whatever configuration you want to do, you can do it here, just right here, right? In fact, there are very famous 2 keywords we can use. One is requires, and the other one is export. Again, we will talk about this later. Why do we use export? Why do we use requires? Time being, this is how you create a module, and that's right. We are creating a Java file for configuration, right? That's different, right? So yeah, it will work. There's no doubt. You got your class, you got your module-info. Let's run this project once again just to see if everything is working. The moment you do that, the moment you run this file, you can see we got hello, but we also got one more folder which is out. This is interesting. If I expand out, we have our project folder which is mod demo, but that is for our normal project. But we also have the Telusko main. For every module, you'll be getting a different folder. If I expand that, you got Telusko. In Telusko, you got main and you got runner.class and you got module-info.class. This is how you create a module. You can create multiple modules. We can do that. So we will right click here and I will say right click new module, and this module would be, I will name this module as Telusko .util. Again, why we'll use this, we will see that later, but you can create multiple modules. And the way I do that, you can see we got 2 modules. One is main, one is util, and they both have different SRC. But what's the advantage? So to understand the advantage, we will try to convert the earlier example of the last video. Remember, we have these 2 classes, add helper and calculator. We will try to do that in this util package, and we will control what we can use and what we should avoid. So how to do that, that we'll see in the next video. So just to recap what we have done, we have simply created a module called as Telusko main. A way you can do that is right click and creating a module, and every module needs this file called as module-info.java, right? That's how you do it. And this is the syntax of creating module. Just use module as a keyword, it's a new keyword in Java, and the name of your module, right? It should be sensible, of course, and you can use multiple statements here. So in the last video, we have seen how to create a module. So what we can do is we can simply right click on your project and you'll be getting an option of creating a new module. And once you create a new module, of course, by specifying a name, the way I have done here, you can see I have 2 modules here. One is Telusko.main and the other one is Telusko.util. In the first module, so in fact, in every module, you'll be having your SRC folder. And in the first module, you have your package as Telusko.main. It's not compulsory to have the same name, same package name as the module name, but then in this example, I'm going for that. And then you have a class runner. Now, runner is a class where I'm performing an operation, where I'm printing hello. That's it. But then I just don't want to print hello. I want to add two numbers. Now the way you can do that is by writing the code here itself, or you can take help of some other class. Maybe I want to take help of a calculator class. I will say calculator c equal to new calculator. Okay, so new calculator. And then once I got this object, I can add those two values. But then unfortunately, you can see we have a class defined here. If you remember, in the first video, we have cadence class, but then that was a different package. I want to have that in my module, and particularly I want that in this Java Telusko.util module. So we already have our calculator here, right? So what we'll do is we'll simply create a calculator class here. In this, I will right click here. I will say new, a Java class, and I will name this class as calculator, right? Calculator. And instead of typing the code by ourselves, we have already done that, right? So let's copy this code. And you can see this calculator needs another class called as helper. Now, first of all, let me just paste it here. Oh, I guess I've copied is the wrong thing. Oh, it's the right thing. Okay. So you can see in this calculator, first of all, I want to move this calculator in a particular package. I will say package telusko.util. Right? Normally we put our classes in this particular package. So let's say this calculator is there in java.util package. And I will simply move this to that particular package. And you can see we have done that. So in this util, now we have a package called as telusko.util. In this module, we have a package called telusko.util and we have a calculator. But then unfortunately, the calculator is not working. Of course, it will not work because we have a class here which is add helper. Now again, you might be saying this structure not properly formatted. Now it's done. Okay, so we want an object of add helper. So for that, we need to have a class called add helper. I will do that in the same package. I mean, not in the same package, but in the same module. And I will name this class as add helper. So we can create multiple modules and every module can have different classes. The only thing is I want to move this class to a different package. I will say package telusko.util.internal. So we can have a different package name, right? So we can have our classes in different packages. And as the name defined by this package, it also means that this class need to be internal. We don't want anyone else to use this class. So java.util is one module, math is another module. I want this class add helper to be a part only of this module. Can we do that? Let's try. So first of all, I will make this class, and this class need to have some methods with it. Again, I will not type everything by myself. I have already done that here. So I will copy this code and put that in a new helper class. Okay, done. And now we can actually go and see. So everything is working. You can see we got add helper. You can see we got add helper, but then we have to import the package for that. I will simply say control space and import. Now, as you can see, calculator and internal, the calculator and add helper belongs to same module, which is telusko.util, and this main the runner belongs to another module. Now, can I use calculator? You can see it's not working. Oh, that's a problem now. It is not working. How can we use this calculator which is another module? So we are trying to link two different modules here. Okay, now that's our challenge here. How can we link these two? So let's try to understand how can we do that. Now, to use another module in your current module, what you have to do is you have to use this module hyphen info.java file. In this, you have to mention, hey, so you are informing your project, hey, I'm expecting, so I require a module here which with the name telusko.util. So if you want to make it work, you need to have this module here. Okay, so it is showing an error. We can fix that. Module not defined. Oh, module not found. That's weird. We have a module here. Okay, so to make it work, I guess first of all we have to build this module, and the way you can do that. So again, different IDE have a different way of working. So I guess in this you have to first build the module so that once you build it, it should be available here. You can see that it is available now in the output folder, and I guess it will be available now. Oh, it's not working. What's wrong? Do we need to do something here? Oh, you can see that we don't have a module.info class here. Oh, my bad. In fact, we need to have that file, right? So let's get that file, and so now we are defining a module. Okay, will it work now? So if I have done everything now, I have made my Java class. Let's build it once again since we made some changes. I will say build, and it is building. Is it done building it? Okay, so it should work now. I don't know why it's not working. Okay, so module is not in a dependency. Yeah. So now it is able to find the module, but it's not in a dependency. So this is again specific to IntelliJ. Let's add that in a dependency because IntelliJ have a different way of working with the project structure. If you're doing it command line, you don't have to do that dependency part, but then you just have to make sure that whatever modules you're creating, the way I was facing issue here, and this is a very normal issue, you know. So if you're facing issue, you have to make sure that you have module hyphen info.java because that's what makes your normal folder as a module. And you can see that you are able to get this module. And perfect, everything is working. You can see we got our module. We are saying, hey, to work with this module, you need a util module. And if I go back to runner, oh, we are still not able to get the calculator. That's weird because this main needs util and we have done that. And still the calculator is not available. Now, what if I say all the packages in a module are by default private? And this is the beauty of modularity. All the packages are by default private. So how can you make it public? Now, first of all, you don't make it public. What you simply do is you inform your module, hey module, this package which is Telusko.util, I want it to be exported for all the other modules to use. So you have to export. So in this module -info.java of a util package or util module, you have to inform your module that I want to export. So that's why we have one more keyword to remember, which is export. So you have to say exports, and you have to mention the package name. The package name here is Telusko.util. That's the package name we are trying to export. Okay, so that's the beauty. So if you want to export one particular package, you can mention that. So you can simply export that package, and once you make the changes, build your module once again. And now if you go back to the runner and let's import the package, and you can see that we are getting it. It's so easy. Now you are able to use this package because we have done this code which is export. But can I use helper? Let's try to create object of add helper. I know it is internal, but then can we use it? The moment I do that, you can see I said add helper and then maybe helper. And if I give a semicolon, you can see we are getting error here itself. It says the module Telusko.util does not export a package called as Telusko.util.internal. And that's why you are not able to do that. So if you want to export that as well, then mention that. So mention here exports Telusko.util.internal, then only it will work. Okay, that's how you use it. So if you don't want to export one package, you can simply skip it. So by default, all the packages are unique, or all the packages are private. And if you want to export a particular package, you have to mention that in your module. So we have seen two keywords here. One is requires, and the second one is export in modules. So in requires you mention, so if one particular module needs another module, we say requires. Your current module want to export the packages so that someone else can use it, you have to use export. In fact, if you have some other module, you can also mention, hey, this particular module requires maybe some other module you want, maybe java.sql module. You can do that. So java.sql is a module, or it's a package, it's a module basically. So you are trying to use a module. Maybe you want to have something else. You also want to have java. Maybe what else we can use? Maybe Corba. Let's say you're building a Corba application. Just mention java.corba. It's just that it is deprecated, and that's why you are seeing a line there. Okay, so you can see we are saying we need two modules. One is SQL and one is Corba. So you can mention whatever module you need. And if you want to export a particular package from your module, you can simply use export. The point to remember here is by default, all the packages are private in a module. And if you want to export a particular package, you just have to say exports. And that's the beauty about modularity. You have a control in your hand, right? And if you are skipping if you are skipping some module, let's say this module export this classes, and if you miss something and if you make a mistake, you will get an error at compile time, not at runtime at least. So yeah, that's how you work with multiple modules. I hope you're enjoying this series of Java 9. If you're enjoying it, do click on the like button and do let me know your reviews in the comment section. I will read your comments and I will try to make modifications in the further videos. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching.